electric vehicles, let's make them as functional and amongst all of that comfortable as is available, which means optimize. Some vehicles have a problem that their center console is too fat, takes up too much space in the middle. There's an association with the center console being there with a lot of volume and it being a luxury feature. And then the designers can be pushing the envelope and crossing the line and having the center console too thick. And this is particularly relevant when you've got a vehicle that's narrow overall, some of these smaller hatches. So a big luxury vehicle that might be full 2 meters wide could maybe afford to have a big central console, and this is where that association type of thing comes from. But then if you're building a smaller vehicle, you need to be appropriate to it. So the Bugatti company has this center console. This is one of their most recent release vehicle designs in 2024, and they went to the next level with their center console system. So we don't have to replicate every part of that build. They made it out of sort of a special glass and so on. You don't have to replicate all of that. We're talking about the narrowness of it, that you have this functionality. You've got switches, dials, these sort of things, which over and over again, people have talked about it and said, I want the dials and toggles and sliders and switches to be right there, physical, and this is right. Yet the company keeps burying things in the screen under some menu tree. Don't do that for those things that we use regularly. And so let's make the central console thin, trim, and with some useful switches, dials, toggles on it. The picture here is showing the top part of that spine structure coming down the center console. That's the bit we want. The thicker part below, we don't want that thickness because it crowds your knee, crowds the knee space. And this Bugatti is relatively wide. It's a sort of sports car. It's made for performing. Width is then part of it and part of the styling. So they went and made the central console area down lower bulky, but don't do that. Don't carry that over. Look to the upper part and see this thin area and say, let's design that. And then every vehicle maker should get to work, put a team together, design it, have a solution for it, and then it's an active option. When making any vehicle, they say, are we going to put in the thin console that they have already in-house? If every vehicle maker did this, and then at that juncture making the decision, they made the right decision, then there would be a lot of thinner central consoles in the vehicles because they really need that. We need the space for our knees and hips in seating for comfort. So it's an assignment for every vehicle maker to go and make a good version of the upper part, not the bulky lower part in this photo. We don't want the bulky lower part. And there's going to be some trade-off in less storage space areas and such. Yes, well, priority is space for the body, the knee, the hips. That's the priority. So 2 or 3 more little cubby holes to put something in, sacrifice them, give us the space. We need the space. And if the vehicle is more spacious in all of these critical areas, you can end up having the vehicle be a match to many, many more people than otherwise would have been. If you go the wrong way with things, then you get in there in the dealer and try the vehicle out, and you can't get a comfortable position, and this is crowding my knee and it's throwing my hip in. I can't even get a straight line with my legs to the brake pedal and the accelerator and feel comfortable, so I can't buy this vehicle. It's ridiculous. And the company maker did that. to themselves and the potential customer. So give people the space, their knee, their leg, their hip, their upper hip. There's a priority thing here. So don't go and say, oh, we'll make a big fancy luxurious central console and all this storage space and they'll love it. No, you should be thinking the other way and saying, they'll love the space. That's what we must succeed in. And then also a very good central airbag system for safety and the storage space for that. So there's a number of other vehicle makers that have looked at this sort of approach. Some of these have them facing the driver, giving a more cockpit sort of feel, and that's something to explore. Some of these do crowd the knee too much in the photos here. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now this is an example of a sort of big luxury feel with this big middle console. Well, if you've got a super wide vehicle, they may choose to do that, but when you've got smaller vehicles, don't carry that over. This won't fit with allowing a person to fit in there in a lot of vehicles because the vehicle is just not wide enough. So be appropriate to the vehicle you're building. This gives a different angle look, and that's a bit crowding the person's knee. All this fancy luxury, spent so much money, but they haven't quite got enough room just for their legs. So the lower part's a bit impinging there. If you look at the upper part, we could keep that and then make the lower part much narrower, angle it inwards to the floor, so then you've got knee room, proper knee room. It should travel high and stay high so that it's well out of the way of your knee. This arcing bit at the center does that. This center console arcing point, that is high enough that it's out of the way of your knee. The dials are at hand, that works. Get an electric vehicle sort of version of it all. So we want this upper part, but we don't want the fat lower part. Now a lot of vehicles would be improved if they went and did this. Is it hard to do? No. That's their job. How about they get this covered? So this is just walking through a number of interior designs for one, but also look at the interest of some orange with black styling. Why have all just plain black? So many black and grey interiors. Go to a little effort and give us something a lot more interesting. This is an appealing internal, and again a center spine. We can take the center spine, but don't have the thick console that's in this picture lower down. This is a different color combination inside that would be appealing to some, and just lightens up the cabin a bit. And again a center spine. So we want the thin at the top but don't have the thick lower down. We need knee and hip room. Some of the older versions of the Bacardi, and orange and black can work well, don't have too much black. So the assignment here is to explore. This is all the bling. We're not expecting a mass production vehicle to come out like that, but that's a bit of fun somebody's having. The functionality of the center spine and the dials there is good. Let's have that. This is a bit too much yellow everywhere, but let's have brighter interiors. Work at it. So collect up what's already been done. This one's angling in a bit. This is part of the basic process, the start points for putting new designs together. Good designers know that. That's fine, and let's start the project here for all vehicle makers. Go make your equivalent of this central spine shown off with that new Bacardi, the first photo in the video, because it is the right center console system to be putting in quite a number of vehicles. We need the leg space. We need to have that comfort in driving. That is a safety issue, not just comfort. so that we really are not agitated, distracted, frustrated while we're driving. We should be fully comfortable and easy access to the accelerator pedal and the brake pedal, and be able to come at it straight so we don't miss it when we need to hit it straight on. So it's a safety issue, a comfort issue, a compatibility of the vehicle to more people. Steering adjustment, rake, and the different telescopic features and so on, that's part of it. The seat adjustment is part of it. But we also need the leg room. We need the knee room. Let's go get this sorted. There's real vehicles out there that are brand new mass-produced vehicles. They're choosing to put that into mass production, and they made a mistake. The center console is too fat, and it's crowding people, not just down low at the knee sometimes, but at the hip, and just all around. They can be just too closed in there, and the company went the wrong way. So let's have every company out there, go design a very good center console that's a thin design, and then they'll have it in-house, and then they must always ask the question, do we put in the thin console for this vehicle? And one of the options is to offer, as one of the ways the vehicle can be bought, the thin console and the smaller, or even missing for some of the storage areas, on the door, because that's on the other side and it can crowd people on the side. I would prefer to not have another storage container spot for my water bottle down in the door. Let's not have that. Let's have more space instead. Don't have the storage space in the door and then crowd the legs. It's about a priority here. It's about the space is the priority. So one more storage spot, sacrifice that. Let's have the space. So on the right and on the left, we need the space. And that means the center console needs to be properly thin enough all the way to the floor and all the way up. And around the hip, it needs to be away enough from the person's hip, thigh area. So again, that whole center console needs to be thin enough. And then the doors need to be thin enough. Don't bulk them out on the inside with extra storage areas and then crowd the legs. So let's get some proper priority going on. And that's a project. Let's get better vehicles out there, electric vehicles done better, make them more compatible with more people, a better value purchase, more comfortable, safer, the list goes on. So, end of video. Please subscribe, thumbs up on the video, plus or minus comment on the video for the algorithm, YouTube algorithm. Thanks.